Captain Alara Voss stood alone on the observation deck of Outpost Lyra 7, staring at the endless black of space. Stars stretched in every direction, glittering like tiny fires in the darkness. She had been assigned to this remote station for 6 months, monitoring incoming space traffic, maintaining communications, and making sure nothing unusual threatened human colonies in this sector. Life here was quiet, too quiet sometimes. She sipped lukewarm coffee from a chipped metal mug, the bitter taste grounding her in the monotony. Most days were uneventful, but that was exactly why she liked it. Peace was rare in the galaxy, yet as she scanned the nearby star lanes, something unusual flickered on the sensors of a small ship, unregistered, approaching fast. Alara frowned. All incoming traffic had to be registered, even in this sector. She tapped a few keys and ran a quick identification check. Nothing came up. The ship was sleek, unfamiliar in design, and moving with precision that suggested intelligence, not luck. Her communicator buzzed. Lyra 7, this is Outpost Command. Any unidentified vessels in your sector? Alara replied, negative. I'm detecting one now, but it's not responding to standard hails. The reply was brief. Do not engage. Observe. Report back. The line went silent. Command rarely said much, but when they did, she listened. The ship slowed as it approached the docking bay. Its surface shimmered with colors that seemed impossible, like oil on water, but moving in patterns. Alara's curiosity and caution fought within her. She had seen strange things in her career, but this was different. It felt alive. Moments later, a soft chime signaled docking clearance. The bay doors opened, revealing the ship's sleek hull and 2 figures stepping onto the platform. Alara's first impression was of their form. They were humanoid, but not quite human. Their skin had a faint metallic sheen, and their eyes were larger than normal, deep and reflective like dark crystals. They moved with perfect symmetry, almost like dancers moving in perfect synchronization. One of them spoke, the voice melodic yet calm. We request shelter for 1 night. We are travelers. Both of us must remain together. Alara blinked. Both of you. Together? They nodded simultaneously. Yes. Only 1 night. We mean no harm. She hesitated. Protocol dictated caution, especially with unknown species. Yet, something in their tone, something almost human, made her pause. She weighed her options. Refusing could be dangerous if they were capable of violence. Accepting could be dangerous in a different way. But Lyra 7 was isolated, far from immediate help. She decided on caution, wrapped in hospitality. Very well, she said. You may stay in the guest quarters, but I must observe you. Do not wander freely. They nodded in unison again. Their movement was seamless, almost hypnotic. As they followed her through the corridors, Lara couldn't help but notice how they moved as one each step mirrored. Each gesture synchronized, yet their expressions showed subtle differences. She had never seen anything like it. The guest quarters were small, but comfortable. Designed for emergency visitors or scientists passing through, Alara led them to 2 adjacent rooms. You will stay here. I will check in periodically. They paused at the threshold. One of them tilted its head, studying her face. Your species is unpredictable. We are intrigued. Alara raised an eyebrow. Unpredictable? That's not usually a compliment. The 2 figures exchanged a glance, then smiled almost imperceptibly. For us it is a compliment, they said. Left alone, Alara returned to the observation deck. She stared at the ship and the alien silhouettes reflected in the glass. She tried to analyze the situation logically. They claimed to need shelter for 1 night. They traveled together. They were advanced enough to move through uncharted space and arrive at her outpost without detection. And yet, they asked for help. Curiosity gnawed at her. She had spent years studying alien cultures from reports and images, but nothing prepared her for a direct encounter. She wondered what motivated them. Was it desperation, curiosity, or something else entirely? Hours passed. The station hummed with the quiet noise of life support systems and distant machinery. Alara checked the ship's status remotely. Energy signatures were stable, life signs normal. but readings were strange and interconnected, almost like the two occupants shared one nervous system. Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft chime from the guest quarters. Someone, or something, was requesting entry to the main deck. She opened the door cautiously and found them standing side by side, hands folded. "We wish to understand your species better," one said. "We have observed your station, your methods, your decisions. They are unusual." Ilara tilted her head. "Unusual how?" The other spoke this time. "Your ability to act without complete information? To solve problems without pattern? You call it intuition? We call it chaotic brilliance." Ilara laughed quietly. "Chaotic brilliance? That's a new one." They smiled again, but it was not a human smile. It was precise, measured, yet somehow genuine. Ilara felt a strange mixture of wariness and fascination. For the first time, she realized that humanity's unpredictability, often seen as a flaw by other species, might be a strength. Night deepened. Outside, stars twinkled like distant lanterns. Ilara sat at the observation deck sipping coffee, glancing at the two aliens moving quietly in the guest quarters. They were silent, yet she could feel their awareness, as if they were observing everything with attention far beyond normal perception. Then, without warning, the station shook slightly, a minor tremor. Not dangerous, but enough to rattle loose a few tools from a shelf. Ilara jumped, heart racing. The two aliens appeared instantly in the corridor outside her quarters, moving with synchronized precision. "You are safe," one said. "This is minor, yet it is." "Interesting," Ilara frowned. "Interesting." The other replied, "Yes. How you respond to unexpected events. How you adapt without pre-programmed solutions. You are unpredictable, and yet effective." Ilara realized they were watching more than just heard. They were studying humanity itself through her actions. A strange pride welled in her chest. Humans often felt small and insignificant in the galaxy, yet these visitors seemed impressed. Hours passed, the tremors aftershocks fading. Ilara returned to her coffee, eyes fixed on the stars. She wondered what the next day would bring. One night of shelter had stretched into hours of observation, fascination, and quiet tension. She felt a strange connection with these two beings, though they were entirely alien. Something about them resonated with her, a recognition that humans were unique in ways even advanced civilizations could not fully understand. By the time she finally allowed herself to rest, the stars outside seemed brighter, the silence of space less empty. For the first time in months, Ilara felt a thrill of anticipation. One night of shelter, she reminded herself. One night, yet deep down, she knew that the arrival of these unexpected guests might change everything she thought she knew about humans, aliens, and the vast, unpredictable universe between. The morning light filtered weakly through the observation deck windows, painting streaks of pale gold across the cold metal floor. Captain Ilara Voss had already been awake for hours, checking system readings, reviewing logs, and ensuring everything on Lyra 7 was functioning properly. The alien guests had remained in their rooms through the night, silent and still, almost like statues. Yet she could feel their awareness. She sipped her coffee and thought about their synchronized movements, their seamless communication, and the strange energy that seemed to bind them together. She had seen teamwork before, of course, but this was different. Their minds seemed connected in ways no human could achieve. It was unnerving and fascinating. Lara decided she would try to understand them better. After all, part of being a captain was learning to communicate with those unlike herself. She knocked lightly on the door of the first guest room. "Enter," came the voice, melodic and calm. She stepped inside. The room was tidy, minimal, but functional. Both aliens stood near the small window, looking out at the distant stars. Their movements were perfectly mirrored, as if each step was planned in advance. "I wanted to speak with you," she said carefully. "You arrived without warning, and yet you claim to only need one night here. Why come to a human station?" They turned to face her, eyes reflecting the soft light. One spoke first. "Your species is different. We wish to learn. To observe, to understand how you solve problems, how you survive, how you think. Ilara raised an eyebrow. Observe humans. Are you here to study us like an experiment? The other answered, perhaps. But not with harm, only curiosity. Your actions are unpredictable. Your decisions are creative. We have not encountered this in others. Ilara chuckled softly. Unpredictable is a polite way of saying chaotic. Humans are messy, impulsive, and sometimes make terrible decisions. They nodded. Yet that chaos allows outcomes we cannot anticipate. We wish to see this firsthand. The captain felt a mix of pride and unease. They were studying her individually, yet also studying humanity itself through her. Every small action, every choice she made was being noted. She wondered if they would ever fully understand the strange combination of instinct, emotion, and ingenuity that defined humans. She decided to test them. If you are so advanced, perhaps you can help me with a small task, she said, walking to the console. I need to organize the maintenance logs and predict energy usage for the next week. Can you do that? Both aliens approached the console, their fingers moving in perfect unison over the controls. Numbers and graphs scrolled across the screen, calculations precise and fast. Ilara watched, impressed by their speed. Yet she noticed something strange. They seemed hesitant when variables were unpredictable. How is it going? She asked casually. They paused, exchanging a glance. Your system has too many variables, one said. Unexpected fluctuations make precise prediction difficult. Lara smiled. That's the point. Life isn't always predictable. Humans adapt. For a moment, the aliens simply observed her. Then, with synchronized nods, they returned to the task, attempting to integrate her improvisations into their calculations. They moved fast, precise, yet every now and then, they hesitated, as if the human element confounded them. The morning passed like this calm, measured yet filled with small, subtle tests of adaptability. Ilara realized that the aliens were trying to map human thought into patterns to predict the unpredictable, and that was impossible. She felt a thrill at the realization. Humans could surprise anyone even highly intelligent. Advanced aliens. By midday, the alien pair requested a tour of the station. Ilara hesitated. Most of Lyra 7 was secure, with sensitive systems and restricted areas. But she decided observation and learning might benefit both sides, as they walked through the corridors. She noticed how they moved not just in sync with each other, but carefully scanning everything. Every panel, every machine, every minor detail was noted. They asked questions, carefully chosen, sometimes surprising in their insight. How do you maintain systems without automated correction? One asked. Ilara smiled. We rely on human ingenuity. Machines are useful, but humans can improvise. If a panel fails, we don't panic. We adapt, sometimes using tools in ways no one expects. They exchanged a glance, almost imperceptible, then nodded. Improvise. A concept unknown in our species. We rely on calculated precision. Error is not tolerated. That's why humans survive in unpredictable situations, Ilara replied. We may not be perfect, but we are resilient. The tour ended at the observation deck, where the stars stretched endlessly. One of the aliens stood silently as if studying her. Your species is fascinating. You act without complete knowledge and still succeed. This is intriguing. Ilara leaned against the railing. It's not always perfect. Sometimes we fail. But failure teaches us more than success ever could. They were quiet for a long moment. Then one said softly, perhaps this is why you are valued, why you are important. You possess something others do not. Uncertainty is your ally. Ilara's heart lifted at the words. Humans often felt small and insignificant compared to advanced civilizations, yet here were beings light years ahead. Recognizing value where humans often failed to see it themselves, the afternoon brought a small surprise. An alert flashed on the console, an unexpected surge in energy readings from one of the nearby satellites. Ilara frowned. It wasn't dangerous, but it required attention. Stay here, she said to the aliens. I'll check it out. Seconds later, she was in the maintenance bay, adjusting relays and recalibrating sensors. She improvised a solution, rerouting power manually, adjusting for the minor anomaly. It worked. The system stabilized. When she returned, the aliens were waiting. Their synchronized posture now seemed almost reverent. "You solved it." "Without pre-programmed solutions," one said, "we would have calculated dozens of options, yet your method, simple, direct, unpredictable, succeeded." Ilara laughed softly. "That's humans. We make mistakes, we improvise, we figure it out. Sometimes by luck, sometimes by instinct. But it works more often than not." They studied her for a long moment, silent. Then the other spoke. "Your species adapts to chaos. Others avoid it. This is remarkable." The evening came, and the station lights glowed softly, illuminating the quiet corridors. Ilara prepared a simple meal for the aliens, something basic, edible for most species. They ate quietly, observing her movements, noting everything. "I don't suppose you eat like humans normally," she said, breaking the silence. No one replied. "But observing your habits is part of understanding. You act without complete planning, yet you thrive. This is unpredictable brilliance." Ilara shook her head with a smile. "You're obsessed with that word, aren't you?" They tilted their heads, synchronized as always. "Perhaps. But it defines what we see in you. Your species cannot be fully anticipated. And yet you survive, thrive, and even inspire." She paused, realizing the truth in their words. Humans were not perfect. They were chaotic, messy, emotional, and sometimes irrational. But that chaos gave them a unique strength. One even advanced alien species could not replicate. By nightfall, the aliens returned to their rooms. Ilara sat alone on the observation deck, staring at the endless stars. She felt a strange combination of pride, curiosity, and unease. These visitors were here for only one night, yet their presence had shifted something in her own awareness that humans were different, remarkable in ways even advanced civilizations could not fully predict. Sleep came late, restless, and filled with thoughts. The aliens' synchronized presence, their fascination with humans, and the way they studied her every move lingered in her mind. She knew the next day would bring new challenges, perhaps even tests. Yet, despite the tension, a spark of excitement burned within her. Humans were unpredictable. Humans were resilient. And tonight, she realized, humans were extraordinary in ways the galaxy itself had yet to fully comprehend. And the aliens, two beings from a distant star system, were about to discover that firsthand. The next morning began quietly, too quietly for Captain Ilara Voss. Lyra 7 usually hummed with soft vibrations from power lines and life support machinery. But today, the air felt heavy, still, like the station itself was holding its breath. Ilara rubbed her eyes and stepped into the corridor. The two alien guests were already awake, standing side by side in perfect symmetry. They turned toward her at the exact same moment, as if they shared one mind. "Good morning," Ilara said, stretching her back. Their voices overlapped softly. "We do not sleep as you do, but your cycle of rest is understood." Ilara gave a tired smile. "I'd call that an advantage. Humans need sleep, or we fall apart." Both aliens tilted their heads in unison, intrigued. "Rest is required for recovery. But you gain ideas from dreams. That is unusual," Ilara shrugged. "Humans do a lot of unusual things." Before they could continue, station lights flickered. Once, twice. Then the floor trembled under their feet. Ilara froze. That was not normal. A loud, sharp alarm filled the corridor, an emergency alert she had hoped never to hear on her isolated outpost. She ran to the nearest console, fingers flying across controls. The warning lights burned bright red. "Meteor microstorm detected," the system reported. "Outer hull damage on levels 3 and 4. Power conduits unstable." Ilara's breath caught. A meteor microstorm was unpredictable and extremely dangerous. Tiny fragments of rock, too small to be detected early, moved at high speeds. They could pierce through outer panels and disrupt fragile systems. The aliens were suddenly beside her, their movements swift and controlled. This event was not predicted, one said. That's the problem with space, Alara said. It doesn't care about predictions. She opened a series of diagnostic screens. Damage reports scrolled rapidly. Level 3. Hull breach sealed but unstable. Level 4. Power conduit misaligned. Backup generators, activated but flickering. Main energy core, holding but under stress. The aliens studied the readouts with deep focus. We will assist. One offered. We can analyze the damage and repair it precisely. Alara shook her head. Be careful. Human systems aren't built like yours. They're old, messy, and unpredictable. The aliens exchanged a glance, a silent conversation passing between them. We adapt quickly, they said. Show us the damaged sector. Alara nodded and led them toward level 4. The corridor shook again, dust drifting from ceiling panels. Sparks flickered along a damaged conduit, the power surging dangerously. This is worse than I expected, Alara muttered. The aliens approached the damaged panel, their hands moving smoothly over the cracked surface. Their fingers glowed faintly as they scanned the inside structure. This design is irregular, one said. Unstable, added the other. Yet functional, they both concluded. Alara grinned, despite the danger. That's human engineering. A little chaotic, but it works. Most of the time, they tried to repair the conduit. Their movements were precise, almost mathematical. They aligned wires perfectly, recalibrated circuits with flawless accuracy, and reset the energy flow exactly according to calculations. But the moment they powered it up, boom. Sparks erupted. A burst of energy shot across the hallway. Alara yanked the emergency lever, cutting off power before the conduit overloaded. The aliens stepped back. For the first time since arriving, they looked confused. That should have worked, one said. Our calculations were exact, said the other. The system failed to follow predictable patterns. Alara wiped sweat from her forehead. Predictable patterns? This old station barely follows any patterns. They stared at her, puzzled. Alara opened the panel again. She leaned in, squinting at the tangled mess of wires. I've patched this a dozen times, she explained. Every time it breaks differently. But I've learned how to outsmart it. She grabbed a toolkit and selected 3 mismatched parts, a rusted stabilizer clip, a spare regulator, and a piece of insulated wire she had cut from an old machine months ago. The aliens watched closely. You will use those? One asked, surprised. These parts are incompatible, the other added. Alara smiled. Maybe, but I know this station better than anyone. She twisted the stabilizer clip sideways, forcing it into a position it wasn't originally designed for. Then she wrapped the insulated wire around 2 connectors, tightening it with her fingers. Finally, she attached the spare regulator, but not in the official slot. Instead, she placed it slightly off-center. The aliens stared as if watching a strange form of art. That is not the correct method. One said, It is not designed to function that way, said the other. Alara shrugged. Maybe not. But it will. She activated the power flow again. For a moment, the conduit hummed dangerously, then dashed click. The system stabilized. Energy levels balanced. Power distribution returned to normal. The aliens were silent for several seconds. Finally, one spoke. This defies logic. The other added, You improvised using random elements. Alara laughed. It wasn't random. It was experience. Humans learn from mistakes. Every wrong repair teaches us something new. The aliens turned toward her, their eyes glowing faintly. Your species relies on intuition, one said. And flexible thinking, said the other. And unpredictable solutions, they concluded. Alara nodded proudly. Exactly. The station trembled again, but this time the systems held steady. The meteor microstorm was passing, but level 3 still needed attention. Come on, Alara said. This isn't over yet. They followed her to the next damaged area. The atmosphere felt tense. But the aliens seemed agura, strange excitement showing in their synchronized movements. At level 3, a minor hull breach had been sealed by emergency foam, but oxygen levels fluctuated. Ilara pulled up a holographic schematic. We need to stabilize pressure. If we don't, the outer seal will crack. The aliens examined the structure. Your systems are not uniform. This makes prediction near impossible, Ilara nodded. Welcome to human engineering. They tried again this time, combining their precision with Elara's improvisation. The aliens sealed microscopic cracks with controlled energy pulses. Ilara reinforced the weak spots with manual clamps, tightening every bolt by hand. Together, the three of them worked quickly, balancing each other's strengths. After nearly an hour of tense repair work, the final pressure reading turned green. Seal stable, Ilara breathed. We did it. The aliens looked at her, and for the first time, they smiled without perfect synchronization, each smile slightly different. A sign of genuine emotion. You have shown us something new, Juan said softly. We have encountered many species. All follow predictable logic, the other added, but humans. You are beyond calculation. Lara felt warmth in her chest. It was rare for humanity to be admired by advanced species, let alone ones this mysterious. As the emergency alarms silenced and the station returned to calm, they walked back toward the main deck together. Ilara glanced at them. You two handled yourselves well. Even if the first repair attempt didn't work, they bowed their heads humbly. We have much to learn, Lara smirked. Well, if you stay one more night, I could teach you how to fix a dozen more broken systems. They exchanged a silent, quick glance. We said we would stay only one night, they reminded her. Ilara sighed. Right. But she could tell something had changed. The aliens now looked at her and at humans with a new kind of respect. Not fear. Not confusion. Respect. As they reached the observation deck, the stars outside shimmered peacefully. The meteor storm had passed. The station was stable again. The aliens turned toward Ilara, their voices calm but filled with emotion she had not heard before. You solved a problem we could not, they said. Ilara shrugged playfully. Sometimes the most unpredictable mind is the strongest. They nodded slowly. Perhaps this is why your species has survived challenges that would break others. You adapt. You bend without breaking. You create solutions where none exist. Ilara looked out at the stars. That's what humans do best. And somewhere deep in the silence of space, she felt a quiet shift. This was more than a simple test. It was the beginning of something much larger, something that would reach far beyond Lyra 7, far beyond her own life, and far beyond anything the galaxy had predicted. The calm after the meteor storm felt unusual on Lyra 7. Normally, emergencies left a lingering tension, but today, the station seemed almost serene. Captain Ilara Voss walked along the corridors with a sense of quiet pride. She had faced unpredictable dangers before, but today had been different. For the first time, she felt that humans messy, unpredictable. Chaotic humans were remarkable in ways even highly advanced beings could not fully comprehend. The two alien guests had returned to the observation deck after the repairs. Their synchronized movements were now slightly less rigid, more thoughtful, as if the day's events had sparked something new inside them. They stood side by side, observing the stars. Ilara Voss, one of them began. Voice calm yet with a hint of wonder, we have seen many civilizations. Some are powerful, some are logical, some efficient, but none possess what you do. Lara raised an eyebrow. And what is that? She asked, genuinely curious. The other aliens spoke this time. Adaptability. Your species thrives in uncertainty. You create solutions without complete information. You survive in chaos. And you learn from mistakes in ways we cannot predict or replicate. Lara chuckled softly. You make it sound like a superpower. Sometimes it just feels like stubbornness or luck. The alien studied her. Perhaps. But luck does not explain improvisation under pressure. Nor does stubbornness explain creativity that produces results when logic fails. Ilara felt a strange warmth in her chest. Humans often doubted themselves, compared to advanced alien civilizations, thinking they were weak or slow. Yet here were two beings light years ahead of humanity, acknowledging its strengths. It was a rare, humbling experience. "I want to understand you better," one alien said suddenly. "Your species' creativity is not limited to machinery. It extends to strategy, emotion, and collaboration. We have observed it today firsthand. But there is more we wish to see." Ilara frowned slightly. "More? What exactly do you want?" The first alien turned toward her eyes, reflecting starlight. "We want to see how humans interact with one another, how you cooperate, how you inspire each other. Logic alone cannot explain your achievements. We wish to understand the human element in totality." Ilara considered this. Humans were unpredictable individually, but they had an incredible ability to work together in ways no other species could. That strength had allowed humanity to survive countless disasters, colonize distant planets, and innovate in ways even advanced civilizations could not foresee. "All right," she said finally. "Then let me show you." She led the aliens to the central command hub. Screens displayed holographic projections of other human colonies, trade routes, and outposts. Communication logs, mission reports, and emergency drills flashed before them. "Observe," Ilara said. "This is how humans manage complex systems together. Cooperation, communication, and improvisation happen constantly. We predict outcomes, but we also adapt when predictions fail." The aliens leaned closer. "We notice anomalies," one said. "Some humans make mistakes. Others take bold, unplanned actions. Yet the outcome is often positive. This is fascinating." "Yes," Ilara agreed. "Mistakes teach lessons, and bold action can create opportunities that planning alone cannot. Humans thrive where rigid logic fails." For hours, she guided them through simulations, showing how humans solved crises, handled emergencies, and collaborated under pressure. The aliens absorbed every detail, noting the unexpected creativity, the emotional intelligence, and the resilience. By late afternoon, the aliens requested something unusual. "We wish to participate," one said. "Not as observers, but as learners. Show us how humans handle unpredictability in real time." Ilara paused. Then she smiled. "All right, let's run a simulation." She initiated a holographic scenario. A small colony on a distant planet faced sudden system failures after a meteor strike. The lights flickered in the simulation, power lines faltered, and communication links went dark. "Your task," Ilara explained, "is to solve the crisis. Not with perfect data or flawless algorithms. You must improvise, adapt, and coordinate like humans do." The aliens studied the simulation with their usual precision. They attempted to apply their logic-driven methods. Calculations flowed, solutions were generated, and plans executed. But almost immediately, the simulation threw unexpected variables, solar storms, equipment malfunctions, and unpredictable colonist behavior. The aliens paused, clearly surprised. The controlled environment of the simulation refused to obey their calculated plans. "This is unexpected," one admitted. "Yes," Ilara said calmly. "This is what humans call life." She gestured toward the simulation, demonstrating human methods. Instead of following a strict algorithm, she improvised solutions, rerouting power through unconventional channels, using limited resources creatively, and anticipating problems with intuition instead of logic. The aliens tried to emulate her. Combining their precise calculations with her improvisational approach, slowly, the simulated colony stabilized. Communications were restored, energy flow normalized, and the colonists survived the crisis. "We have succeeded," one said softly. "Yes," Ilara replied. "Because humans don't just calculate. We adapt, we create, we collaborate. That combination is impossible to predict." The aliens exchanged a glance, subtle but full of meaning. "We understand now," one said. "Your unpredictability is not a weakness. It is a strength. Your species is remarkable in ways we cannot fully replicate. Ilara nodded, feeling a deep sense of pride. For centuries, humanity had been underestimated by other civilizations. Humans were seen as minor players, fragile and chaotic. Yet here were two beings, light years ahead, acknowledging what she had always known. Humans could thrive where logic alone failed. As night fell, station lights glowed softly. The aliens remained on the observation deck, silent, watching the stars with expressions of contemplation. You humans, one said finally, carry something beyond technology, beyond knowledge. You carry resilience, creativity, and courage. This is why you survive. Ilara smiled. And it's why humans will continue to surprise everyone in the galaxy, including you. The aliens nodded. We came to evaluate humans for potential collaboration. But now, we see that collaboration requires more than precision or power. It requires adaptability, emotion, and unpredictability. Ilara leaned against the railing, looking at the stars. Exactly. You can study humans all you want, but you'll never predict us completely. That's our strength. A soft breeze from the station's environmental controls rustled her hair. She felt the vastness of space pressing against the thin walls of Lyra 7. Humanity had endured countless dangers, colonized worlds, and built civilizations against impossible odds. And yet the true power of humans was not in technology or strategy, it was in their ability to adapt, to improvise, and to overcome the unpredictable. The aliens turned toward her again, their synchronized movements almost gentle this time. Your species has taught us a valuable lesson. Perfection is not always strength. Flexibility, creativity, and courage are equally important. Ilara nodded. You just needed to see it firsthand. The two aliens remained thoughtful, as if contemplating the vast implications of what they had witnessed. They had seen human brilliance, human chaos, and human adaptability. And they had begun to understand that the galaxy itself might be underestimating the true potential of humans. Ilara realized that the night would be long. They were not just visitors, they were students, observers, and witnesses to the extraordinary resilience of humanity. You have one more night, she said finally, smiling. Use it wisely. Learn everything you can, because humans never stop learning. The aliens nodded. We will remember this. Your species is extraordinary. Lara watched them leave the observation deck, returning to their quarters. The station was quiet, peaceful, but the impact of the day lingered. Humanity had survived challenges that logic alone could not solve. And for the first time, she realized that humans were not just participants in the galaxy. They were innovators, survivors, and unpredictable forces capable of shaping the future. As she looked at the stars, Ilara felt a profound sense of pride. Humanity had been underestimated for too long. But now, even beings from light years away could see it. Humans were unique. Humans were remarkable. Humans were extraordinary. And that lesson, the lesson the aliens had just learned, was only the beginning. The following morning, the station was bathed in soft golden light. Captain Ilara Voss stood on the observation deck, staring at the endless stars. Today, the two alien visitors would leave Lyra 7. Their presence over the past 2 nights had changed something inside her. She had always known that humans were special, adaptable, creative, resilient, but now, beings from a distant system had seen it too. The aliens emerged from their quarters, moving with the same synchronized precision, but their energy seemed calmer, reflective. They stopped beside her at the railing, gazing out at the void. You have shown us much, one said. Your species' approach to problem-solving, adaptability, and courage. It is unlike any we have encountered. And you've shown me that even advanced beings can be surprised. You were curious, cautious, and precise. But sometimes precision alone isn't enough. The other alien spoke. We came to Lyra 7 to evaluate humans for potential collaboration, but we have discovered something more important. Your species carries qualities that cannot be measured, dictated, or replicated. You improvise, adapt, and endure. Ilara smiled, her pride quietly glowing. That's humans. We're messy, we're unpredictable, but we survive. And sometimes that's enough to make a difference. The aliens exchanged a glance, their usual synchronized movements now softer, more thoughtful. They had spent only a short time on this isolated station, yet they seemed to have learned more than many civilizations might in decades. Before we leave, one said, we wish to give you something. From the folds of their clothing or whatever served as clothing for their species, they produced two small devices. They glowed faintly, pulsating with energy that was alien but beautiful to behold. These devices are a token of our gratitude. They contain knowledge, technical schematics, and tools that may assist your species in future endeavors. Use them wisely. Lara accepted the devices with careful hands. They felt light, almost delicate, yet she could sense the immense potential contained within them. Thank you, she said simply. I won't take this lightly. The aliens nodded. Your species' ingenuity deserves opportunity. You may surprise the galaxy in ways we cannot predict. This is why humans are extraordinary. Lara felt a mix of awe and humility. Humans often underestimated themselves. Other civilizations saw humans as flawed, fragile, or chaotic. But here were beings light years ahead of humanity, acknowledging that those very flaws were strengths. Creativity, intuition, resilience, these were qualities no algorithm, no calculation could ever replicate. The aliens turned toward the docking bay. Alara followed, feeling the weight of the moment. Outside, the small ship shimmered in the morning light, its metallic surface reflecting the stars. Soon, it would vanish into the void, leaving Lyra, Sivan, and her with only memories and lessons learned. You will continue to grow, one said, speaking as the boarding ramp extended. Your species' potential is boundless. Humans survive where others fail. You improvise where others break. And you inspire where others hesitate. Lara nodded. We've always had to survive, she said. And sometimes inspiration is all we have to offer. The aliens paused, then spoke together in unison. Remember this. Your unpredictability is your strength. Your courage is your gift. And your ingenuity is unparalleled. The universe will notice your species, whether you believe it or not. Alara smiled, feeling a warmth that spread from her chest. Humanity had always been underestimated, but she knew that the galaxy's view of humans was slowly changing. The two aliens turned and stepped into their ship. The ramp retracted, sealing the vessel. Alara watched as the engines hummed softly, the ship lifting into the star-filled sky. She felt a strange sense of pride and hope. Humans were more than survivors. They were innovators, problem-solvers, and forces capable of remarkable feats. And now, others had seen it too. As the ship accelerated, moving into hyperspace, the aliens looked back one last time. We will return, they said. And when we do, we will see how humans have evolved. Your species' journey is only beginning. Then they vanished, leaving Lyra 7 in silence. Alara stood alone, staring at the stars. For years, she had worked in isolation on this station, thinking of humans as small players in a vast galaxy. But the past 2 nights had proven something else entirely. Humans were extraordinary. Their creativity, unpredictability, and resilience gave them an edge no civilization could ignore. She thought of Earth, of human colonies scattered across distant systems, each one surviving challenges that other species would consider impossible. Humans had faced disasters, invasions, and environmental collapses, and yet they endured, adapted, and thrived. Alara realized that the aliens' visit was more than a test. It was a lesson not just for them, but for her. Humanity could achieve greatness, not because they were flawless, but because they were flawed, chaotic, and inventive. That afternoon, she walked through the station corridors, checking systems as usual. Everything was stable, but her perspective had shifted. The hum of the machinery, the flicker of monitors, the faint hiss of life support systems, all of it reminded her of something important. Humans create order in chaos. Humans thrive where logic fails. Humans survive where others give up. She paused at the observation deck and looked at the stars once more. Somewhere out there, the aliens were carrying stories of humanity, sharing their observations with others. And those stories would shape the way the galaxy viewed humans for generations. Ilara thought about the lessons she had learned. One night, she had hosted two unknown beings. They had tested her, observed her, and challenged her. And in the end, they had left with a new understanding of what humans could achieve. She smiled. It was a quiet, satisfied smile. Humanity was capable of more than they realized, and she had witnessed it firsthand. The days after their departure passed calmly, but the memory lingered. Lyra 7 hummed with life, quiet but purposeful. Ilara continued her routine, maintaining the station, monitoring space traffic, and preparing reports. Yet she felt a renewed sense of purpose. Humans were more than survivors. They were innovators, creators, and explorers. And perhaps in time, the galaxy would recognize that truth. Months later, when Lyra 7 received transmissions from distant colonies, Ilara noticed something remarkable. The alien devices left behind contained advanced schematics, techniques, and strategies that improved human operations across multiple systems. Humanity began to innovate faster, adapt more efficiently, and survive more challenges. The aliens' visit had been brief, but its impact was lasting. Humans had learned from the Mand. They had shown the visitors something far greater, that unpredictability, creativity, and resilience were the greatest strengths any species could possess. Ilara often returned to the observation deck at night, staring at the stars, wondering where the aliens were now. Somewhere in the galaxy, they carried the memory of humans who could adapt, improvise, and thrive. And perhaps one day they would return, eager to see how humanity had grown until that day. Ilara knew that the lesson of the visit was clear. Humans were extraordinary, and the universe was only beginning to realize it. The stars stretched endlessly, but Ilara no longer felt small. Humanity had survived, adapted, and inspired. And somewhere deep inside her, she knew that humans would continue to leave their mark on the galaxy, messy, chaotic, and brilliant, just as they always had. And as the night stretched on, she whispered softly to the void, "Humans survive. Humans adapt. Humans will thrive." The universe, vast and unpredictable, seemed to acknowledge her words, twinkling with possibilities yet unseen. And somewhere out there, the two alien observers would remember, forever changed by what humans could accomplish.